Hi, and welcome back to my channel. When I tell you guys, I am so tired today. It took everything out of me to get ready for this video. I forgot that today was kind of a big day at work. It wasn't like I had to do anything big, but there was this really big event at work, and it wore me out. I'm so tired today, but I swore to myself that if I posted consistently till the end of the year, every other Friday, that's like my schedule of when I post YouTube videos. And I told myself that if I post every other Friday till the end of the year, I would treat myself to a real vlogging camera because right now I just do it on my phone because I don't know if it's enough to invest in yet, even though you're supposed to invest in yourself. But I was like, if I meet this goal, I'm going to do it. So I was determined to come home and record today. Usually I record on the weekends, but I messed up. So it's September 17th. This video goes live the 19th. So that means I literally have to record today, edit tomorrow, and post on Friday. And I am so tired. But nonetheless, it is starting to be overcast. The next 2 days are going to be rainy, and the weather is starting to cool down. As I've said in my last two videos, I think that fall starts August 1st. So it's been fall for me. I've been reading fall books, I've been reading Halloween books, I have Halloween decor out. I have all my pumpkins out. I've already started reading some of these books. The whole point of this video is about books that I think are great for Halloween, not just the fall season overall. I think that these should be read in the month of October or whenever the Halloween season starts for you. I think that this is the perfect time to read these books. Something about them is just so Halloween coded a little bit more than just the average fall book. Okay, this is a little side note, but I was going to read you off the book that I am currently reading, and my boyfriend was so gracious to let me borrow his phone for this. But of course, Goodreads is down, and Goodreads I feel like is always down. The app has kind of been very hit or miss lately, and I think that I'm going to switch to Fable, but I don't really know that many people in person that use Fable. So if anybody's seeing this and they swear by Fable or they're like, I've tried both and Fable is definitely better, because lately Goodreads is not hitting. So if you use Fable or you recommend it, please let me know, because this is a constant thing. I swear it is. Okay, so I did want to share the book that I'm currently reading. I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of picked this up because I saw something about it on Instagram and I was like, what? A gargoyle? I love gargoyle romances. I don't know what it is about them, but I think they're so interesting. So this one is A Gargoyle's Delight, a monster romance by Naomi Lucas and Mel Braxton. I've read a few of Naomi's books before. I've actually read the series, I can't remember what it is, but they're all snakes. And that one was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't my favorite. I didn't think it was the most well written, but it was almost kind of like Ice Planet Barbarians, where it's like, okay, this probably isn't going to be the best written book, but it's still insanely enjoyable. So I did read all of those that are out right now, and they're pretty good. But this one is a lot more darker Halloween coded, and I think it's in a part series, and they're coming out with a special edition of it and another book that I plan to read. And it's pretty good so far. I'm not gonna lie, I'm only halfway through and it is kind of dragging, but it's definitely, I could definitely see the Halloween vibe. So I did want to throw that in there. Again, take that with a grain of salt because I haven't finished it, but it is pretty good so far. Next up is the Hallows Cove series by various authors. Each book is a different author, and I think they're really good. The first one is by Laone Riley. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if it's not. But I really like a bunch of her books. She writes a bunch of monster romances, but this one is about a vampire, and he builds this town way back when he first turned into a vampire, because he wanted this place where there are not vampires, but just like monsters in general can live in harmony. And in this world, monsters and humans do live in the same planet, but this town is primarily for monsters. There's like no Wi Fi, no internet service at all, really, no technology to an extent. And at first, the first book follows this girl who goes on a retreat and she meets the vampire, and of course, they fall in love. And each book after that, it follows a different monster in the interconnected series and how they find love in this little small town for monsters. And it is so good. I'm not going to lie, the more and more the series goes on, the more they're starting to fall off. But I am going to put some of my favorite ones on page. But if you want something cute and lighthearted, then I think that this is perfect for Halloween. It is very very fall coded. But I do think that the monster aspect pushes it to the next level of being more Halloween centered. Next up is the Monster Bay series by Jacqueline Hyde. I honestly can't remember if I mentioned this in the last video or not for fall, but even so, I think it's the kind of same as the Hallows Cove series where it's very cutesy, but the monster aspect of it kind of pushes it over the edge to Halloween. The first one is this influencer. I really think I talked about this in the last video, but I'm going to yap about it again. The first one follows this influencer and she goes to this castle in Transylvania, and of course she meets a vampire and it ends up being Dracula, or who Dracula is based off of. And of course it slowly starts about them finding their way together, but the whole series follows monsters. The next one is How You Doing, and it's of course a werewolf. The next one is All Stitched Up, I believe. It has not come out yet, but it follows Frankenstein. And then I think the next one is going to be the Loch Ness Monster, or either Jekyll and Hyde. And I'm pretty excited to see what she does with Jacqueline Hyde because I've really, really come to love that character throughout the series. It's another interconnected series, so we see each characters in each book throughout, even though they are not the main female main character or male main character. This is where I get pretty excited. The next book I have for you is probably my favorite on this series. This is probably in my top 10 books of all time. It is so good, and I don't know what took me forever to pick this up. I actually recommended this book to all my coworkers today because we were talking about good fall books, and somebody was like, "Ooh, I want a good dark romance." And I was like, "I got you," especially now that it's fall theme. So it is actually Twisted Devotion by Poppy St. John. I'm looking it up because what happened was I just remember that this girl works in a morgue, and I want to say it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I'm not for sure. So I'm actually going to look up the plot. Okay, yes, Emily, a mortician's daughter, is caught in a dangerous situation when she discovers her father's illegal dealings with the crime lord. The crime lord, Rorik, I think that's how you say it. God, I feel like I say that all the time, becomes obsessed with Emily and takes her captive, leading to a dark and intense relationship. If you want a good dark romance to read, I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely 18 plus. This is a romance book. There is a happily ever after, but it is so good. I don't know why, but I read this book in one night. I actually read the whole series, and the whole series is great. I'd give every last book in that series. There's only 3 so far. God, I hope she writes more. But there's only 3 so far, and I'd give every last one of them 5 stars. They're so good and just books that you can devour so fast. Next up is No You Hang Up by A.J. Merlin. I don't know how I found this book. I honestly think it was a TikTok ad. I'm not gonna lie. This one is a pretty dark romance too. I mean, pretty dark, dark romance. But it was really good. It's definitely scream coded. I actually have multiple books that are scream coded. The movie, if you know what I'm talking about, if you've watched it, you'll know. This girl actually ends up prank calling this guy with her friends, and he immediately gets and like infatuated with her, and he's obsessed with her. And so then when she hangs up, he gets mad. Well, then he starts stalking her. And slowly but surely, she's like, okay, I'm kind of digging this guy. It is definitely Halloween coded in the way that it reminds me of Scream. And I always watch that movie. I remember growing up watching that movie with my family, and that just, I don't know, it's really good. it sounds like it would be cheesy, and I'm not gonna lie, there are so many parts of it that are pretty cheesy. It gets kind of cheesy there for a minute. That's like, ugh, I wish I wouldn't have read that. It kind of gives you the ick. But overall, I think it's a really good book and it's perfect for Halloween. Honestly, wish I would have saved it and read it for Halloween, but I didn't realize it was such a slasher romance. Is this thing so on? I'm gonna be pissed if it dies again. I was just talking to people at work today and they were like, after you hopped it up, it died. Yeah, it did. And it pissed me off. Okay. Next up, I have this book. It's called Lord of Bones by Aiden Pierce. I want to start off by saying that this series had so much potential. It had so much potential. When I tell you the second book was probably one of the worst books I have ever read in my entire life. But the first book was, I think I rated it 5 stars. Now that I think about it, I may go back and rate it 4 out of 5 because the second book just let me down so bad. So the ending wasn't good. So take this with a grain of salt. I'm only recommending you read the first book, but it does kind of end on a cliffhanger, and the second book just kind of sucked. So take that as what you will. But the first book is so good. She is a grave robber with her boyfriend, which she kind of can't stand at the moment. But she ends up taking this necklace from this tomb that she should not be messing in. And then this man comes out from, compare this to the Seven Depths of Hell, and he comes up from the first one, and basically he is death. He's one of the seven deadly sins. It's so pissed off at her. Like, you think that he would immediately be like, oh, usually when books like that happen, like, he's automatically in love with her. No, he hates her. He wants to kill her, and he drags her down to hell to ruin her life. But then he slowly starts to fall in love with her, and he actually portrays himself as two different people. She thinks that he's two different people, but he's actually the same person. And of course, that releases a whole different can of worms. And it's more of a labyrinth retelling. I've never seen that movie, but he does give her this timeline of, you have so many days to get out of this maze. And if you do it, then I'll let you go. That's pretty much all I'm going to tell you without spoiling it. But I will say it is a great story. The premise is so cool. I've never read anything like it. The storytelling is so great, but the second book just falls off so hard. So, like, you know, take that with a grain of salt. If I would have known that going in, I don't know if I would have read it, but I hate to tell people not to read it because I do think the first one was so good. Okay, next up is another series. It's In the Shadows by J.A. Owenby. This book follows. You know what? I'm gonna have to look up. This book is so complicated. I'm gonna have to look it up. Okay. I actually forgot. I don't know. Okay. In the Shadows is a dark age gap romance novel by J.A. Owenby. The story follows Ella, a cam girl. I don't remember her being a cam girl, who becomes the obsession of a serial killer known as Death. The book features multiple point of views, graphic violence, stalking, and themes of temptation and revenge. It is intended for adult readers. That kind of is, of course. Okay, basically that's all it says, and it talks about how she slowly starts to confront her stalker, which is Death. There is definitely a lot more to the book than that, but I'm also going to tell you that it's very hard to talk about this book without giving away spoilers because it gets really in depth. This is another book where the second book kind of falls off, not as bad as the last one. I did read the second book. I thought it was very enjoyable. The second book definitely built up the side characters a lot, which are actually, there's another book about to come out. I'm not sure which of the side characters it is. They're all called In the Shadows, so it's kind of hard to remember which book's which. But I will say this is a duet. They both end in a happy ever after, but it's definitely hard to follow the second one more than anything, and it's kind of just not as compelling. You're kind of like, I'm kind of over this by now, but it is still really good, especially the first one. The first one had me hooked. Stop. I have a book that is actually by this author that I rarely ever hear people talk about or acknowledge. I don't know if she's just that small of an author, but I really don't think she is. But it's My Wife by Karen Hart. This book is another Scream coded book. So take that with what you will. It's definitely a slasher romance. I am about to give a spoiler probably for the next 30 seconds. So if you do not want this spoiler, please, please skip ahead. I personally think this is a bittersweet romance. I think that most people think it's a happy ever after. I personally thought it could have ended a different way to make it happier, but I didn't write the book. I'm not going to lie. I fell in love with some characters that I thought were main characters, but they weren't, I guess is the best way to describe it. So just like take the bittersweetness of this book with like a grain of salt. Like go into this knowing that like it may not be the happy ever after that you're wanting. Follows this guy and or actually this couple and they're married and he dies. And slowly she falls back in love with her high school boyfriend, which was also his best friend. And then they go on this remote island for their high school getaway. And then when they get there, or a high school reunion getaway, and some of these people on this trip are so annoying. I cannot stand them. But when they get there, somebody is slowly picking them off one by one and killing them. And you have no idea who. It gets really good. They don't know why anybody is out there chasing them. They're stuck on this island because they were like, don't come back and get us till like 3 more days. So there's no way off. They've already had traumatic stuff happen on this island. So just, it's very scream coded. Very scream coded. There's this guy in his mask. Also, he's masked. So that's pretty awesome. It's definitely one of my favorites, one of my favorite authors. I do not think this is her best book, but it was so enjoyable. I do think she has like some books that I was literally like, this book is a 5 star for read for me. I've reread it multiple times. And but I did really like this overall, and I think it would be great for Halloween. Spookily Years by Jennifer Chipman. This book is about a witch who lives in this small town and decides that she wants to adopt a cat. And then when she adopts this cat, she finds out that he is a demon. And he basically turns in from his cat into this demon form, and she's pretty upset because she's like, I really wanted a cat. And it's actually funny because I'm staring at my cat right now. She's sunbathing and she's like, why do you keep calling on me? Because I ask where the cat is all the time at our house. So, like, she's definitely looking around why I'm wanting her attention. But this book is like the other books that I mentioned at the very beginning of the video. Of It's definitely a cute book. Even though it's a witch and a demon, this is definitely something that you're going to want to read if you're wanting more of a light, fluffy romance for the fall. I do think it is still very spicy. Yes, I do think this is perfect for Halloween. Yes, it does involve a witch and a demon and all the stuff that comes along with that, but it is a fluffier, nicer romance. To kind of take it in a different direction, I have the Charming series by Sarah Blue. I think all of these are something that you should read in the fall. The first one is Charming Your Dad. The second one is Charming the Devil. And the third one is Charming as Hell. The first one follows a girl and this demon that she falls in love with. And it's actually her ex boyfriend's dad. And we all know we love that trope. We all know that we love it. And then the next one is Lilith and Lucifer. And then the third one, I can't really give that away. So you'll just have to read it and find out. Oh, and in the first one, she's a witch. So it's a witch and a demon and ex-boyfriend's dad. And I think this is the first time I read that trope of ex-boyfriend's dad. I was kind of getting the ick, but it's actually insanely good. And it takes this magical world. I think as far as fantasy worlds goes with like demon, witches, hell, stuff like that, this is the one that I feel myself gravitating to the most. I really like how it portrays it in this fantasy world. And honestly, I don't know what it is, but something about it is supernatural coded to me. I don't know. I flip back and forth on if that is or Her Soul to Take is. can't tell which one's more supernatural coded. They kind of give off the same vibes to me in a weird way. Even though this one's a lot more comedy romance, they still give off the same vibes to me for some weird reason. I don't know. And they're both a little bit of supernatural coded. So if that's kind of what you're looking for with a little bit more romance, I think this would be the perfect read for you. Okay, next up is like the dark of the dark of the dark of the dark book. This book is not going to be for everybody. To Bend by Aurelie Knight. I don't think any of her books are going to be for everybody. And if you go into reading this book, please, please, please check the trigger warnings because this book is like off the walls crazy. It follows this girl who is in kind of a toxic relationship with her high school boyfriend and has a lot of religious trauma and goes to meet her therapist, and her therapist immediately becomes obsessed with her, like to the most obscene amount. Obsessed. This is definitely one of those books that, again, it's not for everybody, and it is a dark, dark, dark romance. And that's kind of all I'm going to say about it without giving too much of it away. But it's definitely like a more twisted romance. So if that's something that you're looking for, I definitely think you should check this book out. But before you read it, think about if that's really what you want to read because again, this book is not for everybody. But I personally enjoyed it and thought that it was really good. So if that seems like something you'd be into, I think that this book would be really great for you. The X-Hex by Erin Sterling. It has been so long since I read this. I'm definitely going to have to look up what this is about. Okay, the story follows Vivi Jones, who must undo a decade-old curse she placed on her ex-boyfriend, Reese Penhallow, when he returns to their magical town and the curse effects begin to spread. The book blends humor, magic, and romance, featuring a witchy small town, a talking cat, and a second chance romance between the two leads. I forgot that this was second chance, but now that she says that, I remember it. It's also one of those that I think is like such a good spooky read for the fall because it's a witch. I think they're both. I think she's a witch, he's a warlock. It definitely gives Halloween Town vibes. That's the vibes that you're going to get going into this book. But also, it's definitely more of a fluffy read. So it's going to be like those other books that I recommended. I do think that it is great. I rated it about a 3.5 stars. I did not find it the most entertaining. I felt that it kind of dragged on a little bit, but also it's like Halloween Town was kind of a movie that I put on in the background and didn't watch for a while. So if that kind of seems like the vibes that you're looking for this fall, or like the fluffiness of a Halloween read that I was talking about earlier, I think that this would fall in that category. Next up is one of my favorite, favorite series of all time. And it is Devil's Knot series by Penelope Douglas. I honestly don't hear that many people talk about it, but I do know that it's a huge series. But if you're like, oh, why do I know that author's name? You probably know her because she also wrote Credence, which I don't care what you say, is a really good book. I really liked it. I don't care what you say, but that's an argument for another time. So I'll let that go for now. We will be back to that, I'm sure, in one video. But The Devil's Knots follows this set of four friends. So it's Michael, Kai, Damon, and Will. I don't know why I did five. Michael, Kai, Damon, and Will. And basically, they do stuff on Devil's Night, which, for those of you who don't know, is October 30th, the night before Halloween. And they go out and do all these crazy stuff. They're all super rich. They all have super rich parents. And basically, in the first book, they invite this girl named Rika, and she goes along with them, and Michael is kind of got this romance with her, but it's kind of hard to explain. You kind of have to read the book for it. But she goes with them on Halloween night, and the next morning the videos that they took got leaked and three of them go to jail. Michael stays out of jail. Kai, Damon, and Will all go to jail for about 3 years. This happens, I think, when they're 19, so I think they're 22 when they get out. I'm honestly not sure if those ages are right. Michael goes on to be in the NBA, and then Rika ends up moving into his apartment complex. And when all those guys get out of jail, they suddenly decide that they're going to take revenge on her, even though Michael loves her. I will say that none of the books in this series are what I choose. Each of them follow a different person in the friend group, but they all have happy ever afters, and they're really good. But I would check the trigger warnings on these too. Sometimes they kind of carry some dark themes, especially Nightfall, which is a pretty deep one. Wait, no, not Nightfall. Kill Switch. Kill Switch is the pretty deep one. I think that all of them are really good. This is one of my favorite series. It's a series that I come back to a lot, but they're definitely not why I choose. I can see how people think that, but I don't want you to go in thinking that. Penelope Douglas also talks about this all the time. It's like it wasn't ever really intended to give off that thing. So if you want to watch use, this is not for you. This is not for you. And wink, wink, you need to go back to the Charming series by Sarah Blue. Okay, and last up, I think that every book on the series was romance besides this one. This one is The Silent Patience by Alex. I do not know how to say that name. I do not know how to say that name at all, so I'm just going to put it on the screen. This book is so good, and I do know about it enough to tell you about it, but I don't want to spoil it, so I'm actually just going to read you the synopsis of the book. Silent Patient is about a psychiatrist, Theo Faber, who becomes obsessed with uncovering the motive behind a famous painter's silence after she murders her husband. It is really good, but honestly, I can't say much else about it until you read it. I don't want to give it away because I do think that this was one of the best thriller books I've ever read. It was insanely well done, and I was gasping at the end by how much it threw me off. I honestly did not see it coming. It was so good. Okay, and I know this was kind of a short video, but as I said again, I'm tired and I don't want to just recommend books just to recommend books. Like these are books that I really feel like give off Halloween vibes and I think that a lot of people can enjoy. So I really hope that you take this list and you find something that you can really enjoy and read this spooky season. I am currently really into my monster romance series. As I told you about that first book, that's still something that I'm into. So I'm about to log off and lay down and read a nice finish my nice cozy romance book and just enjoy all the fall vibes. So thanks again for watching and make sure to subscribe for more videos like this.